After the astounding success of Game of Thrones, there has been some further addition to the extensive lore centered around the fictional fantasy world created by George R.R. Martin. House of the Dragon has kept up with the tradition of bringing in mythical elements in the story, and we see way more dragons than what we saw in Game of Thrones. Balerion is the biggest and the meanest among all Targaryen dragons, and his portrayal has often raised this curiosity among fans about how he compares against Drogon, the last surviving dragon in Game of Thrones. In this video, we bring you an in-depth comparison where we match these fierce beasts by size, strength, and fighting skills. Who is bigger, Drogon or Balerion? Well, we haven't seen them side by side at any point because they happen to exist hundreds of years apart. However, from the available information, the difference in their sizes can be deduced. Balerion is referred to as the biggest dragon that House Targaryen ever had, and this piece of statistics should dismiss the claims that Drogon can match up in size. For those who remember, we see a glimpse of Balerion in Game of Thrones where his skull is said to be kept in the Red Keep. When Cersei Lannister stood beside these skeletal remains, the skull looked bigger than 3 times her entire length. However, we are missing a crucial point here. Balerion is much older than Drogon according to the timeline and narrative of House of the Dragon. That being said, all dragons are known to continue growing till their last breath, and what we saw in Game of Thrones was really a young Drogon who had several years ahead of him. If he could grow so big in a matter of a few years, we have to say that if he grew up to be as old as Balerion, he would probably be a lot bigger. One of the strange things about the dragons shown in House of the Dragon is their stunted growth, which is way slower than what we have known. All 3 of Daenerys Targaryen's dragons grew up very quickly, and Drogon was the biggest among the 3, significantly bigger than his brothers, Viserion and Rhaegal. He also had an uncanny similarity with Balerion in terms of his appearance, and the black and red scales are surely familiar for the fans. While both dragons are equally intimidating, we have to say that Balerion has the edge purely in the size comparison. The books describe him as a gigantic beast who grew big enough to cover an entire town by its shadow. But as we have discussed before, he is among the oldest dragons, and it is almost an unfair contest between him and Drogon.
Dracarys.
Who would win in a fight? Once again, we are down to hypothetical territory here. Wondering who would win a fight between Drogon and Balerion is like trying to guess the winner of a bout between Mike Tyson and Muhammad Ali. However, some basic data might help us make some educated guesses. Among dragons, a larger size usually indicates greater strength and greater firepower. Simply by the physical features, Balerion would be overpowering Drogon because of the size difference between them. Unfortunately, among dragons, size does matter. But winning a fight is not all about brute force. From what we have learned about both dragons so far, Balerion was more of untamed wild child, while Drogon was far more obedient in comparison. Drogon also gathered heaps of combat experience from all the fierce fighting that he had experienced. He fought the White Walkers, the Lannister forces, and the entire Golden Company in King's Landing, and he had hardly ever come across any challenge brief. Since Balerion is so old, you can imagine him being a part of several crucial decades as well, and once again, he steals the show with greater experience. If the 2 dragons went head-to-head in a fight, we would still put our money on the old boy because of his battle-hardened nature and discipline. However, one must admit that a couple and capable dragon rider and Drogon could absolutely be game-changing, and Daenerys proved it time and again in Game of Thrones. Balerion would probably hold a decisive edge if the 2 did have a mock battle, but Drogon wouldn't go down without a good fight. What if Drogon is Balerion reincarnated? A wild theory. Fan theories are an integral part of these shows, and some of them could tend up to come up with a few mind-boggling ones. One such fan theory suggests that Drogon could be a reincarnated form of Balerion. It is believed that Balerion forged the Iron Throne, and thus it would be a complete circle that Drogon destroys the throne after realizing how it only caused lost life over the years. Of course, this is nothing but a wild theory, and in reality, Drogon is more likely to be Balerion's descendant, and certainly a worthy one. Do let us know in the comments below what your thoughts on how these 2 giants would fare during a face-off, and tell us about your favorite dragon. If you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks everyone.